And I think one of the key things is going to be quite interesting in 3 or 4 weeks' time. We'll get out the April data from REINZ, and there is a slight chance we could actually see average house prices in New Zealand fall. Hello everybody. Today I thought I'd just quickly address the idea that there is a shortage of property in New Zealand. It seems logical to say that for all parts of the country there must be a shortage because prices are rising relatively strongly. Well, often people are thinking about that in terms of there is a shortage of physical property. What's really the shortage is the number of sellers in comparison with the new number of buyers that we've seen over the past 12 months or so. A lot of people have jumped into the housing market because they can't travel overseas, because of the unexpected low level of interest rates, expectations that they're going to remain low, etc. But what we know from past experience is that these periods of apparent shortage of properties do fade once these extra buyers start to back away from the market. If you're talking about proper shortage in New Zealand, then it is accurate to say that we don't have enough affordable houses. Up until about the middle of the 1990s, something like 25% of the new houses being built in New Zealand were at the lower 25% end of the price bracket, so lots of affordable houses. Since then, only about 5% or so of the houses being built have been in that lower price range, so definitely affordable or a shortage of affordable accommodation. There's definitely a shortage of state housing, of public housing, going by the number of people in motels and the blowout in the public housing waiting list. And there's a shortage in Auckland as well. And one way to measure that would be to note that back in 1991, the average number of people per house in Auckland was about 2.8. It's now in the census from 2018 about 3.15. But for every other part of New Zealand, that occupancy rate actually went down. So sort of from a pure technical point of view, you'd say the shortage really only exists in Auckland, but I'd buy into there being a shortage of houses in the likes of Wellington as well. Now, what we have in motion, of course, is a great range of factors in play, which will cause the buyers I was speaking about earlier on to start backing away. People start shifting their timing of purchase back to 3 or 5 years down the track as they can see the borders open up, for instance. We're going to get some people who are going to buy as an investor now deciding maybe they won't buy because they don't have the interest deductibility when calculating their underlying profit on the property. There's also, of course, the extension of the Bright Line test. Maybe that puts some people off. And of course, there's extra stuff coming in this year's budget due on May 20. I believe is the day the Finance Minister has said there will be some extra measures coming forward there. And I think one of the key things is going to be quite interesting in 3 or 4 weeks' time. We'll get out the April data from REINZ, and there is a slight chance we could actually see average house prices in New Zealand fall. And if it's not April, maybe it's May, maybe it's June. I think when that happens, a lot of the FOMO that we've seen, the fear of missing out, is likely to back off. I still perceive the markets to be very strong at the moment, but I think with all the measures in play and eventually with a negative price number temporarily to come along, we are going to get a lot of those buyers back off and a bit of a pullback eventually in the talk of shortage, apart from, like I say, the state housing, the affordable accommodation for a while longer, and particularly up in Auckland. All the best.